How Coco Gauff performed at the 2025 Australian Open after winning the United Cup. The first tournament of the 2026 tennis season is right around the corner. The United Cup is a team-based hard-court tennis tournament held in Australia at the RAC Arena in Perth and Ken Rosewall Arena in Sydney. The tournament, first held in 2022 as a replacement for the ATP Cup, features mixed-gender teams from 18 countries. The United Cup was first won by the United States. The U.S. team, featuring Taylor Fritz, Frances Tiafoe, Jessica Pegula and Madison Keys, defeated Italy 4-0 in the final. Fritz returned to the tournament this year alongside former U.S. Open champion Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff reached the Australian Open quarterfinals. Fritz and Gauff began the 2025 United Cup by leading the U.S. to wins against Canada and Croatia. In the quarterfinals, the pair completed a 3-0 victory against a Chinese team headlined by Zhang Zhizhen and Zhang Shuai. In the semifinals, Gauff and Fritz failed to drop a set on the way to a 3-0 victory against Czechia. In the final, Fritz and Gauff continued their dominance, defeating Poland 2-0. Gauff beat IGA Swiatek 6-4, 6-4 and Fritz triumphed 6-4, 5-7, 7-6 against Hubert Hurkacz. The U.S. team only lost one match in the entire tournament. In the group phase, Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime defeated Fritz in 3 sets. Gauff, the highest-ranked player from North America on the WTA Tour, carried her form into the Australian Open, winning her first 4 rounds against Sofia Kenin, Jodie Burrage, Leylah Fernandez and Belinda Bencic. The American was defeated in the quarterfinals by Spanish star Paula Badosa, 7-5, 6-4. Madison Keys won the tournament after defeating Aryna Sabalenka in the final. As for Taylor Fritz, he was stunned by Gael Monfils in the 3rd round of the 2025 Australian Open, losing 3-6, 7-5, 7-6, 6-4. Coco Gauff and Taylor Fritz will look to defend their United Cup crown in 2026. Gauff and Fritz will return to Australia in 2026 to defend the title they won 12 months ago. Gauff and Fritz, who won 500 rankings points at the event earlier this year, will play teams from Spain and Argentina in the 2026 group stage. The Spanish team boasts Jaume Munar and Jessica Bouzas Monero, while Argentina will bring Sebastian Baez and Solana Sierra. Stan Wawrinka, who will retire from his playing career in 2026, is also set to compete at the United Cup representing Switzerland. Title: From Sydney Triumph to Melbourne Battle, Coco Gauff's 2025 Australian Open journey. The sun was just beginning to rise over Melbourne Park as fans streamed through the gates with a sense of promise, excited by the prospect of new heroes being crowned in the first Grand Slam of the year. At the heart of the women's draw stood one of the most dynamic forces in tennis, Coco Gauff. Fresh off her resounding triumph at the United Cup in Sydney, where she had carried the U.S. team with powerful tennis and unshakable confidence, expectations were sky-high. But in sport, as in life, moments of glory and heartbreak often arrive in the same breath. A momentum build in Sydney. Every great story has a defining moment, and for Gauff, it was her performance at the United Cup. In early January, representing Team USA, Gauff was nothing short of spectacular. She went undefeated in singles, defeating world-class opponents and toppling world number 2 IGA Swiatek in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4. A stunning result that set the tone for her season. United Cup +1. This victory wasn't just another win on her resume, it was a declaration. It told the tennis world that Gauff was not just a contender, she was a threat to any player on the planet when her game clicked. The confidence she derived from that run was visible in her serve, her aggressive ground strokes and her ability to close out big points. Arriving in Melbourne, she was widely viewed as one of the leading favorites for the title, buoyed by analysts who labeled her an equal favorite for the championship. Melbourne's first test, rising to the occasion. Gauff's first rounds in the Australian Open seemed to justify the hype. In the opening match, she faced a familiar American rival, Sofia Kenin, a former Australian Open champion herself, and delivered a composed performance, advancing in straight sets. While some aspects of her game, such as her serve, showed cracks under the early pressure, including a number of double faults, Her overall play remained strong, highlighting her improved consistency and mental resilience. Reddit. Across the first few rounds, Gauff's combination of power, mobility, and tactical savvy kept her opponents at bay. She blended aggressive baseline strikes with deft shot placement, forcing errors from her rivals and dictating crucial points. With each match won, there was a sense that the momentum from Sydney had followed her to Melbourne, until she met her next major challenge. The quarterfinal clash, a battle of wills. By the time Gauff reached the quarterfinals, the pressure had transformed from external expectation to internal determination. Standing in her path was Paula Badosa, the industrious Spaniard known for her tactical intelligence and fierce court coverage. What unfolded was a contest that tested Gauff's competitive spirit like never before. Early in the match, Gauff found herself struggling to maintain the high standards she had set in the weeks prior. Her ground strokes, particularly the forehand that had been such a weapon, began to misfire. Unforced errors accumulated while opportunities slipped just out of reach. Eventually, Badosa secured a 7-5, 6-4 victory, eliminating Gauff from the tournament. Hindustan Times. For many watching, the defeat was surprising. Gauff had arrived in Melbourne carrying stellar form. But sport is rarely predictable. On that day, Badosa's consistency and tactical awareness proved decisive, and Gauff's performance, while spirited, wasn't enough to counter that pressure. More than a loss, growth and perspective. In the immediate aftermath, Gauff's response was insightful and mature. Rather than painting her exit as a tragedy, she spoke about the match with a sense of reflection, acknowledging the areas she wished she had executed better. Her words reflected an important evolution in her mindset. Losses are not failures but lessons in a long career narrative. Her Australian Open run, though falling short of the title, still revealed progress. She carried the confidence of a United Cup conquest into a Grand Slam setting, weathered tough competition, and showed flashes of brilliance that confirmed her place among the elite. And if anything, her quarterfinal defeat suggested where her future breakthroughs might come, learning to balance aggression with consistency on the sport's biggest stages. Women's Tennis Association. The arc of a champion's season. Looking back on the arc of Gauff's 2025 season, her Australian Open performance fits into a broader, compelling story. After a rollercoaster 2024 that culminated in her first WTA Finals title, many wondered if she could sustain that success. In 2025, she proved resilient, adding prestigious titles and deep runs to her record. Later in the season, after refining aspects of her game and sharpening her mental approach, she would capture her first French Open title, defeating Aryna Sabalenka in a dramatic final and etching her name into history as one of the sport's brightest talents. Wikipedia +1. This broader arc lends even more meaning to her Australian Open campaign. It was a crucible of learning, a tournament where expectations clashed with reality,